you. My name is Ted Phillips, and I am the chair of the Awards Committee. And I'd like to call to order our May 18th, 2023 meeting to order. We have a physical quorum here today, represented by myself, Janie Smalley for Laura Shepis, and Tony Long for David Emanuel. OGC is represented by Rebecca Levine. Sorry about that, Rebecca. And budget is represented by Stephanie Neely. Did we receive any public comment in person or via email?
No, sir.
And do we have anyone on the line from the public that would like to speak? Hearing none, we will move on, and you have today's consent agenda. We have items 1 through 10. Item 11 is deferred, and I would take they have all been approved by procurement, budget, OGC, legal, the business unit VP, and the chief for the respective areas have also approved these items. I would be open to a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Janie Smalley, so moved.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Tony Long. All those opposed say aye. Aye. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion is adopted. Items 1 through 10 of the consent agenda have been approved for May 18th. Is there any other business to come before the awards committee?
Good morning to everyone, and we had planned to just have a brief discussion about sunshine this morning. I think it's included on the agenda under the notes section. And I don't plan on taking too much of your time this morning, but I did think it wise, since we've got a new committee in place, to have a conversation with everyone in the room at the same time so that everyone can ask questions and hear the same things at the same time. I'm not going to do a big formal presentation on this because I believe that most, if not all of you, have heard the presentation that Regina or the ethics office have done on sunshine, but just a quick overview. So that being said, the awards committee is a board that is subject to the requirements of government and the sunshine. And basically, for your purposes, what that means is that any discussion amongst yourselves of any items that could conceivably come before the board must take place in a public meeting. So that doesn't prevent you, for example, from discussing business that comes before the board with procurement or someone who's not on the board. But it does mean that you can't discuss matters with one another. And that does include, while you can discuss things with non-board members, that you can't use those non-board members as a conduit to then relay messages to other board members. So basically the concept is that the entire decision-making process has to occur in the public meeting because of the emphasis that's placed by the state on making the governmental process as transparent as possible. So when we talk about communication, that does mean any type of communication, in person, telephone, email, texts, social media interactions, pretty much any way that you could think of to communicate with another person is covered under sunshine. And as technology improves and we find new ways of communicating with one another, those also get incorporated into the scope of what you cannot do when you're a member of a sunshine body. So the way the courts construe sunshine is that it is to be construed so as to frustrate all evasive devices. So when you are looking to try to get around the requirements of sunshine, you just can't. And if that's your goal, then that would be interpreted as a violation of sunshine. So the three basic requirements that you have are that the meetings have to be open to the public, reasonable notice has to be given to those meetings, and that the minutes must be prepared. I want to focus mostly on the communication end. So there's a few common pitfalls that you can come across when you are a member of a sunshine body. One of the most common, I would think, would be in the email communications. And so when you're emailing, for example, if you're emailing to a procurement because you've got a question about an agenda item, you want to be careful, for example, not to hit reply all when you've gotten one of those big emails that includes every single person under the sun on the recipient list. So, the first thing I would say is to be very cautious when you're communicating via email that you are not inadvertently including other members of the board on your email list. Another thing just to be cautious about is as members of the awards committee, the things that the things that come before you have a lot of intersection with the general business of JEA. And especially when you're talking about projects that may be going on, if those projects are connected to an award that may be upcoming, it is wise to be judicious in who you're talking to. We have on the awards committee, we have our members from a good variety of business units within JEA, and we have our members and we have our alternates. So another thing just to keep in mind is that the requirements of sunshine apply not just to the regular members, but also to the alternate members, in part because you never know when you may be expected to step up, and then you become part of that decision-making process. I've got a checklist here. I'm skipping over a bunch of stuff, but the other thing just to keep in mind is that when you have discussions outside the sunshine about a matter that comes before the board, those discussions outside the sunshine will actually void the item. So they say that when the courts say that when you have discussions outside the sunshine, those items are considered void ab initio, which means that they never had any effect from the beginning. And so the cure for that is to take independent action in the sunshine and basically rehear the item and vote on it again. And you have to basically regenerate that the entire discussion and the entire decision-making process. And again, this isn't something that you can just bring it in and then rubber stamp it and move on. There does need to be an independent discussion and decision-making process that occurs at that point. Additionally, there are civil and criminal penalties that can be assessed for knowing violations of the Sunshine Law. So, I just wanted to have a quick conversation on this to make sure that you all were aware of how your membership on the awards committee intersects with those requirements of the sunshine. Again, the biggest things that I'm concerned about are one, the email communications and making sure that we don't have a bunch of reply all emails going back and forth because that is action outside the sunshine. and when that happens, then we're in a position where we potentially have to pull an item and actually have the discussion in the sunshine. And, that's a lot of process that we probably don't want to do unless we actually have to. So the emails, and then also just the casual conversations, especially if it's related to a project that we know is going to be coming before the committee for an award. Just to be cautious about who you're having a conversation with. If it's a member of the Sunshine body, then you want to perhaps table that conversation, or speak with speak with someone else. If it's not, it's a gray area. So I'll leave it at that. Again, this is a very quick overview, but does anyone have any questions about how sunshine requirements might apply to them?
I have a question, Rebecca, maybe a request, if maybe you could put something in writing, kind of summarizing what you just went over to share with the board members and the alternates, because I think there's 3 board members and each of them have 2 alternates. So, that's, what is that? 9 people.
9 people.
So that we can, make sure that, because this is great advice and great communications and great training. And I want the other 6 people to be able to benefit from that as well.
Absolutely. So I will, what I'll do is I'll put that together and I will send it over to Jenny, and we can distribute it when we distribute next week's committee meeting materials.
That would be perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Is there any other business that needs to come before the committee today? Seeing none, I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you to everybody. And Rebecca, thank you again for your great guidance. The last thing we want to do is to do something to get ourselves